Good to see you all tonight. Looks like we have about as many here downstairs as we had upstairs. It was empty. I mean, it's incredible. We got people out of town too this time of year, people traveling, but so many people sick. It's scary. I'm glad you're here. So what are you most passionate about? Now that's a broad question. It's intended to be. There's no right or wrong answer to this. There's going to be different answers, but I want to hear some answers. What are you most passionate about? What matters to you? What are you passionate about? Tell me.
Giving a kid the proper education.
That's Emma's all about. Educating kids. Man, this is her life. Okay, good. What else?
Traveling.
Hiking, traveling. Oh, yeah. I get that. I love that.
My friendships, just relationships in general, but
Yeah.
people in my life.
People in our life, friends, we love that. We want that. We need that.
The journey of continued self-improvement.
A journey, I like this. The journey of self-improvement. Trying to make ourselves better. Being passionate about that. Good. Cool.
Performing arts.
Of course. Performing arts. Always the actor.
My health.
Health, right. Good. Yeah. I love it when people are concerned about trying to live healthy and being in shape. That's a good thing. What are you passionate about? What else?
My kids.
Yeah, family, kids. So, the things that we are passionate about, you think about the things that have been mentioned here and the things that you've mentioned. So the things that you're passionate about, what does that make you do? I mean, what things you're passionate about? What do you do with that?
Work hard.
Put
Okay.
effort and time into it.
All right. What's that? Prioritize. Okay, prioritize. Put time in it. Try to improve. What else? Things that you're passionate about. What does that make you do?
You want other people to do it with you. So you try and
Yeah.
put them in with what you're doing.
Yeah. So if it's like something that you really enjoy, something that you're passionate about, you probably tell others about it. You know, and you want them to be involved. And
I was thinking that something that I'm passionate about is bringing glory to God. And when I think about what do I do now with that passion, it's everything that everyone just said, but everything that I do on a daily basis is funneled through that idea.
okay.
It's like I want to get to this goal, so everything that I do is funneling through this little filter that's going to give me that goal at the end of the day.
So whatever we're passionate about, it forms the way we think. It changes the way we do things. And like what you say, we kind of funnel things through what we're passionate about. And if it's that, bringing glory to God, then that's going to affect the things we do. It's going to affect the things we say, the places we go. It goes through that funnel, and everything like that. So we get the concept, the idea of things that we are passionate about. In our book, lesson number 13, which we're only following moderately, but gives us some ideas each time for a class. The title begins with, or the lesson begins with a question. Is my faith strong enough? And I found that to be an interesting question, but I thought it was real. If we think about that for a moment, is my faith strong enough? Now, just kind of as a blanket question there, how does that hit you? What does that make you think of? How do you relate to that? Is my faith strong enough?
I think it depends on what you're doing, where you are at in life. There's people in this room that don't have kids, and there's people in this room that have many kids. And that makes a difference for if you're stronger in one thing than you are in another. Your faith is going to be different in one aspect than another.
Okay. In different times of life, we might measure faith in a little bit different ways. I think ultimately there's some common denominators there. But maybe in different times of life, as we have seasoned some, we look at faith a little differently. But still, again, still asking broad perspective here. Is my faith strong enough? What does that mean? How does that hit you? What does that mean?
I would think it would never be strong enough in the sense of you've reached a sufficient level of faith and you don't need to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I hear that question, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
To tag on that, that's really, that was where I went. Sorry, Jake. We talked about the season of life that we're in. There's no season of life any of us are ever going to be in that I feel I can say, oh, my faith is strong enough. My faith is where it should be. Because that is something that can continually grow, continually strengthen, continually evolve my relationship with God as I go throughout whatever amount of life He allows me to have.
But at the same time, I feel like strong enough would be like strong enough for what?
Mm-hmm.
If I think like, oh, is my house strong enough? Okay, well, is my house reliable?
Mm-hmm.
Can it always be better? Sure. But can
Okay.
I rely on it right now?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad that came up. I was afraid that wouldn't come up, and I was going to have to bring this up. While I think it's true that we're always in a place when, is my faith strong enough? We're always going to say, well, I'm keeping work to make it stronger. Well, of course. We're always looking for a means, a way to increase our faith, all right? At the same time, there should be a level of confidence in faith. Not cockiness in faith. That's very different. We're not talking about that. But that we should have a confidence in faith.
Yeah, when I hear your question, I hear what's going to stop you from reaching your passion? What's going to stop you, or what's going to be big enough to make you stop working towards your passion?
I think that's the essence of where we have to go right there.
I also think it's really important that it's our mindset too. God's not gonna give us something that we can't handle. There's always gonna be more. He's gonna push us and push us and push us so that we do rely on Him to the best of our ability and say, this is now on your turf.
Okay.
This is on your turf, and we're having to make it stronger. So we have to pull Him and make it.
Okay. I appreciate the way you said that, because sometimes when people pull in this, God will never give you anything stronger than what you can handle, it's like saying, nothing bad's ever going to happen. And I don't think that's the intent of what that passage is talking about at all. Okay, because sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes there are challenges to our faith. All right, and I'm not necessarily implying here that God is going to throw roadblocks in our way, or that He is going to test our faith in a way that we crash and burn. I'm not suggesting that at all. Challenges in life come easy enough and quick enough, but God has provided a way and a means where we can excel in faith. So trying to keep this mindset going right here, is my faith strong enough? And understanding, the question we started it with, what are we passionate about? You're thinking like, what does that got to do with this? Well, I'm trying to pull a tie in here. I think everybody's kind of acknowledged, at least by head shaking and stuff like that the idea of faith and trying to increase our faith, being strong in faith is something that's important. What prohibits that? What gets in our way? We understand the need and the importance of having passion in our life for things that are important to us. Where does faith fall in that? I'm just thinking here, that if we were as passionate about our faith as we are some other things in life, we would have less faith issues. We would have less faith problems. Now, that's where people hate to go in discussion. But I think that's real, and I think that's fair, and I think the Bible proves that out even. That when we get confused about priorities in life, 2 or 3 have mentioned the idea of priorities and getting things set in order. When we don't have that right with regard to spiritual things, we will suffer. Our faith will suffer. We understand that in things we want to excel in, that we're going to have to place some priorities there. We're going to have to be passionate about those things. Well, in spiritual matters and in faith, we better be passionate about that.
You know, thinking along that line, if we are truly passionate about our faith, if we are passionate about our relationship with God and having that continue to grow on a continual basis, we need to be able to answer the question, what, who, how am I willing to give up to ensure that my faith comes top priority? My faith comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that what, that who, that how, why, whatever, if that comes first, my faith just took a back seat.
Happens every time when we don't have those priorities right. You remember back in the beginning of class, we talked about some statistics. It was probably kind of boring stuff, but it kind of plays in here as kind of important. It's interesting just to kind of look at Christianity in a broad sense, okay? Just in the way the world views Christianity. But I think there's some parallels here that's interesting. Not good, but interesting. Just in the last 15 years, the percentage of people that have gone from people saying, yeah, I believe in God, to the number of people who say, well, I don't know if there's really a God. And how drastically that has changed in like the last 15 years. Over 10%. Less people today would say, hey, I believe in God. Isn't that interesting? And even among those who would call themselves Christians, again, that's in a very broad sense how we were using that term. Even among Christians, there are those who say, you know, I'm not sure there's a God. Which, how can someone deem themselves Christian and not believe in God? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. But there are those who would. And it's like there was a small percentage 20 years ago of those who were in that category, but it's in the double digits now percentage-wise of those who would be in that category. It's like, wow. Like, how does that happen? And still, and again, we're looking at these statistics and using these terms in very broad sense. If we put it very narrow, just looking at people who are trying to follow a Bible pattern, if we think that somehow we are not affected by that thinking, wow, we need to be a little smarter about that. Because those ideas come to us. We're surrounded by those ideas in society. We should understand that that has an effect sometimes in the way we think, in the way we say things. So just rolling all these ideas here, still in this idea, man, is my faith strong enough? And what does that mean, and how do we apply that? Ben?
I was going to say, for me, I think if my faith is strong enough that, or my belief is there and strong enough that I would obey the gospel and come to Christ and know that He can save me from my sins, that's probably the most important point.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we must and will grow from there, hopefully, from that point of obeying the gospel and receiving Jesus' blood. But if our faith, we've got to have at least that much faith to be able to come to that point.
Right.
That's the most important turning point to come to.
Well, and as you say, our faith must grow from there. That's the beginning point. But how do we get our faith to grow from there? What's involved in that? Let me ask you, broad-based question again. What distracts us in faith? What distracts us from growing in faith? What gets in the way?
Day-to-day emotion, how we feel in the moment.
How we feel in the moment, day to day, even that could change. Okay? What gets in our way? What distracts us? People?
My current season of life.
Your current season of life. How is that distracting?
I'm a full-time college student and I drive at least just
Mhm.
to and from school, so that's a lot.
Mhm.
On top of me having 25 or so assignments a week. And sometimes it's all I can do. Actually, I don't do my schoolwork Monday nights. My professors know because I don't get home until 7:30. Therefore, turn around and I'm at school again
Yeah.
by 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and my teachers know that that's what happens. So if I'm barely turning in assignments on time, I'm going to struggle more to open my Bible.
Life is distracting, and there are seasons of life that seem to be more distracting than others.
Demands on time.
But
is kinda what you-
but I will demands on time. But I will tell you, and I don't want to discourage you, Emma. It doesn't get easier. Because the distractions just change with other things, you know. And in fact,
I'm
for
just only driving an hour to school every day.
but I know people that drive an hour every day to work. So I mean, it just changes. That's it. I mean, it just changes. But a lot of things get in our way. Bryce, you were going to say something.
Yeah, our smartphones was a big
Yeah. I mean, there are some aspects of technology that is so wonderful, and I still just am amazed and can't get over information that we have at our fingertips. And yet the distractions that I find in my life because of that is just crazy sometimes. And I think it hasn't affected me as much as it has some others. Controls some people's lives. So again, we're trying to think here broad-based. This idea is what kind of distractions get in the way of building our faith? You know, huh?
I mean, it's everything we listed before.
Yes.
Whatever you want to put your time into.
Remember the question back at the beginning, you know, what are you passionate about? You know, sometimes it's our passions that get in the way of where we need to be spiritually and what we need to be doing. You know, I mean, our passions can be good things and can actually be helpful to us in some aspects, in some ways, but at the same time may be the greatest detriment to our faith. I think we all struggle with that. And it may be with different things, but we all struggle with that. I mean, how do you ever get through the day, and at the end of the day you think, you've put off 4 times today just sitting down doing a Bible reading and meditating and praying. I'll do it before I go to bed, and you lay down in bed and you just crash and you're gone. And it like never happened. That ever happened to you? If you say no, I'm going to say, liar, liar, pants on fire. You know, I mean, all of us, right? How does that happen? Tell me now, how does that happen?
Well, I was just saying, it's the way you order your day. I find that if I try to fit it in later, it's just how you budget your money.
Yeah,
If you wait until the end, there's not going to be anything left. So you
I
have to put it-
I get that. I get that. That's right, Em.
I think also we want to make sure that we have the time to sit down and not be distracted. Therefore, we are like, oh, we're going to allot this amount of time.
Wait for that perfect moment.
But when that allotted time comes around, oh, my laundry needs to be switched over, and then you walk in the laundry room and do something else. And I think that's just the reality of life too. I
It
think
is.
that's something that everyone struggles with. But I find it more frustrating when you say, I want to do this, and then you
Yeah.
physically feel like you don't have the time to do it.
Right. And we can see that we can understand this in a lot of aspects of life. You know, if I don't go to the gym first thing in the morning, ain't happening. I have come to the office in my gym clothes thinking that at 11 o'clock I'm going to take a break, I'm going to go to the gym, then shower and come back to the office. And I go home that night carrying my gym bag with clothes in it, still in my workout clothes. It doesn't happen because so much, right? You understand what I'm saying? You know, to work out at the end of the day never works for me because everything else gets in the way. I go to the office, I go to my study thinking, okay, I got to really work on this lesson today. I got to get this sermon, like some wheels have got to start turning real fast or it's going to be real quiet on Sunday morning, you know. And I go to the office thinking, I'm digging into this first thing when I get there, but man, there's 12 emails. Okay, let me see. Let me work through these emails first and then I'll start working on this
But
lesson.
Don't forget the first one, so then you get distracted again
Yeah, that's right, you know, and it's like, why do they keep asking more questions? You know, and then the phone starts ringing and texts. And it's now 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm about brain dead. And guess what got done the sermon today? Nothing. How does that happen? And so it's like, I guess I'm trying to make the point that it's like, I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world. I actually have people that support me to live, to allow me to study the Bible and to teach it. And sometimes I really struggle to study because there's so many other things that kind of interrupt. And so, I say that because people say, well, you're a preacher, you don't understand. I think I do. And I worked secular work for 30 years. I know what that's like. Life gets in the way. Is my faith strong enough? What have I got to do to increase my faith? What have I got to do to be able to set priorities in life in such a way that I'm going to open that book and I'm going to study God's Word and I'm going to read it and I'm going to take some extra time to pray today? What have I got to do to get that done? Tell me.
Well, I didn't think this earlier, but just now. I think it matters to ask what our faith is in, because if we're talking about faith in ourselves, that I'm going to get this done, I'm going to make sure I do this. You know, sometimes we need God's help with those things. Most of the time we do. We're trying to do all these things on our own, trying to do it by our strength, our willpower.
Mm-hmm.
How well is that working for us?
Right.
What's our faith in?
And this makes me think back to some earlier lessons about increasing our faith. What can we do to increase our faith? And the idea that the Lord had, you know, back up, even the disciples saying to the Lord, Lord, increase our faith. And if you will recall, there was not some magic potion thrown on them to increase their faith. And I think there have probably been times where all of us have thought or said in some way to God, increase my faith. I would suggest we should be careful about asking that, because I've asked that at times. And my faith in the end was increased, but I spent a lot of time on my knees in between that time. Be careful what we ask for. What do we have to do to increase our faith?
Set goals.
Okay.
Communicate those goals with your partner, with your family, with your friends, those who are close around you.
Let others know. You know, sometimes I have Bible studies, you know, with even some of you. You know, sometimes we'll meet somewhere for lunch, or we meet at a coffee shop and we'd have some Bible studies and stuff like that. And sometimes it's because, you know, there's several people, you know, that have wanted to do that. You know, what a blessing that is to me, because it gives me that period of time of scheduled study. You know, I need that too, right? Sometimes having some other people help hold us accountable, you know, is not a bad thing. In fact, I think there's everything good about that. You know, just being in classes like this and people expecting us to be here. Something I don't think we've done as well with as we really should is, have you noticed there's some people not here tonight? I mean, some people are just hit and miss on their attendance, you know, and are we holding them accountable? Have we done well to hold you accountable? You know, see, there's nothing negative about trying to hold somebody accountable, though sometimes people take that in a very bad way. But there should be something good about doing that, helping to hold each other accountable. Here for a few minutes, I want us to look at a passage in Luke chapter 9. In Luke chapter 9, you be familiar with the passage. You've heard it, you've read it before. But I think it's interesting and helpful for us here to think about this. We were talking a moment ago about things that distract our faith. And what can we do and how can we become more focused on trying to grow our faith? Okay? And Luke chapter 9 is a very pointed passage to me from the Lord. And I don't know that I've always understood it as well as I should. You know, we're in the context here of a period of time where the Lord has something very specific to say to some of His disciples. We're looking at Luke chapter 9, verse 23 is where we are taking this up. And He said to them all, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." All right, so what is that supposed to mean? I mean, obviously there's this reference here to the cross, and now we're getting down to some of the final days of the Lord. The cross is on His mind, okay, because He's soon to be there. But now He's saying to His disciples that they need to deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow Him. What is that supposed to mean?
Am I willing to give up the sin in my life that has become so comfortable that it's how I live?
Okay. Good point. Joe?
I think the implication with denying yourself is that it's not always something that you're super excited or you may not have these super positive feelings, commitment that
Right.
you're going to do it.
Never been excited about denying myself anything, right? Whatever we make application to. Now, I'm not going to have that bowl of ice cream because I need to lose 10 pounds. No, I'm not excited about denying myself, all right? Of course, there's a spiritual connotation to this, but I think you're on point with that. Bryce, what else?
I think that Jesus uses the word cross, and that is kind of the idea of that's not something you come back from.
No.
That's, you take up your cross
Okay.
and die on it.
Okay.
So it's this lifelong commitment, and He says daily.
Yeah, commitment.
Daily cross, so a lifelong commitment every single day.
Okay, commitment. So the idea of thinking of Jesus and the cross as a commitment, was that a commitment on the part of Jesus? Yeah. Yeah, there was commitment there. Jake?
There's some irony in this command to carry your cross, because the cross is what they're looking towards, but it's not a pleasurable thing. It's not the thing that they want to do. It's you have to give up the things you want to do, and
Okay.
give up yourself and carry your cross. It's not going to be easy, but it's ultimately what you should be following and seeking after.
Okay. Again, a repeated point that has kind of come up here, that denying self is kind of the point that stands out here in this passage. This is the point, denying self.
Yeah, when you first asked the question of like, how do you grow your faith, I thought of like training. Like, how training is just so hard, but you have to choose to do that rather than do what you want to do no matter what. And if you stay committed to it, it's going to hurt as you're going through it. It's working out, but at the end, you end up stronger. And it's like, to me, it's like choosing to work through the harder thing to get to the goal.
Okay, right. Denying self is part of that training. Denying self is not the only goal here, but it's helping us to get to that goal. So sometimes I've heard this passage read, and somebody say deny self, take up your cross and follow me. And sometimes people say, like, when someone's facing some real challenges and difficulties in life, that they've said, well, that's your cross to bear, or I'm having a really bad, well, that's just my cross to bear, It's like, what does that have to do with this passage? Nothing. And yet sometimes people refer to this passage here that way, that it's like, well, that's my cross to bear. And it's like, no, it's not. That's not what the Lord is talking about here. And please, as a side note, let's not really compare anything that we have to suffer with on any level close to the cross that Jesus had to bear. It's not the same. Let's just have a clear picture of that. But the idea being here, and I'm really glad different ones made this point, about the denying self is the point, the imperative of the text here, as I see this. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself. Is my faith strong enough? Is my faith all that it needs to be? And what do I need to do to increase my faith? And what gets in the way of me increasing my faith? And what am I really passionate about? Because the things that we are most passionate about, we'll get that done. We will get that done. We'll take care of that. Is my faith strong enough? Am I growing in faith the way I need to? Am I doing what I need to do to increase my faith? What are we passionate about? And I'm afraid sometimes our passion is misplaced. And our passion is not about faith and serving God. Because if it is, we'll get that done. You follow me? Do you follow what the Lord is saying? Are we willing to deny ourselves to serve Him? Are we willing to do that? If we are concerned about is my faith strong enough, and I think that's a valid question. That's a real question. That's worth asking ourselves. If we want our faith to increase, and if we want to stand stronger in the Lord, we can get there. The Lord will help us. He said He would. But as someone said, or more than one even said, that we are going to have to take the first step on that. And I think that's important.
I think it's important when you're asking yourself these questions, you can think about things that you need to do, like read your Bible more, but I think one of the things that was more powerful for me was looking at who is the company I was keeping.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to either help you in your faith or it's going to hinder you.
It will.
And I think sometimes when we have these conversations, we talk more about praying and reading the Bible, but it's about who you're around.
I don't know that there can be too much emphasis placed on that very point. And I will say that is a true point and statement no matter what season of life you are in. You can be in a later season of life, and there are still challenges from those around you that can pull and draw you in directions that you shouldn't go. But I do think, and I remember well, when we are younger, and maybe if our faith is not as refined as it should be, and if our knowledge in spiritual things is not as built up as it needs to be, sometimes Satan really works on us. And our friends have such an incredibly big impact on who we are and what we do.
I think it's important that you also remember that no matter if you want them in your life, if they're still hindering you, they're not benefiting you in your life.
That's right.
And that's been a hard reality that I've had to face this past year and a half. Is I have a really good friend that I want in my life, but the way of their season of life that they're in right now and their choices that they're making and all these things, it's not benefiting me.
Right.
To have them in my life, they're gonna pull me further away than they're gonna help me.
Yeah.
No matter if my
Yeah.
I'm still gonna get pulled away.
They pull you 2 steps away for every 1 step you make in the right direction. And on your point, the farther we get pulled away, for a while our light shines bright. But the further we get pulled away from the source of the light, the dimmer our light becomes.
And it's harder to keep that light lit.
It is. It is. Okay. Our time is gone here. I need to hear from you. In view of the discussion here tonight and where we've gone tonight, where do we need to go next? What are things that we need to talk about next that would keep us thinking about these things? Do we need to talk about these things some more? And if so, how? And where does that need to go? I mean, I've got some thoughts here just about faith that I think we need to kind of zero in on a little bit more. But I would really, really like to hear some thoughts and ideas from you. Joe?
I find reading scripture is easier than studying scripture, meaning some practical talking about how to study, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a routine might look like, and might be a little bit more specific would be helpful to get it done.
Okay. What else? Yes.
How to like fight the different distractions that we face.
Yeah. Good. What else?
How to keep your light shining to others
Keep your light shining to others at what?
when their light is dim.
Uh-huh.
Practical ways to strengthen faith. Maybe beyond just the obvious.
Okay. What else?
What to do with our doubts.
Okay.
You kind of just mentioned this earlier in class, but how to keep others accountable without, being too aggressive or you're not asking enough. It's an odd balance, and it depends on the relationship, of course, but maybe some practical ways to look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? That's good stuff. That's a good list. Yeah. Be interested to hear what you all have to say about that. Okay. Really glad y'all here tonight. Good class. I've enjoyed it, and I hope it's been helpful to you. Glad you're here.